Okay, everybody, this is 6-5 fractions, decimals, and percents. We're going to talk about converting from a fraction to a decimal and to a percent and back again between the three. The first thing we need to talk about is what is a percent. A percent is a ratio that compares a number to 100. You can write a percent as a ratio with a denominator of 100. For example, if I say 75%, I can rewrite this as a ratio of 75 over 100. Okay, if I say 22.5%, this is going to be 22.5 over 100. Okay, so that's basically what a percent is. Now we're going to use that fact to help us write these things as fractions. For example, 5%. 5%, I'm going to write this as 5 over 100 because percent actually, the word percent means for every 100. Okay, so that in itself just means over 100. So whatever the percent is, I'm going to write it over 100. Now, 5 over 100 is the fraction that we have. Can I simplify it? Remember, we always want to simplify fractions, and the answer is yes, I can simplify this. I can divide the top and bottom by 5, and I get 1 over 20. So this is the final fraction. So 5% equals 1 over 20 as a fraction. What about 73%? Well, that would be 73 over 100. And the question is, can I simplify this? And the answer is no, I cannot simplify it. 73 is a prime number, so this is what it is. What about 125%? Well, that is 125 over 100. And it doesn't matter if the numerator is smaller than the denominator. It's fine. We can write it like that. Now, it's fraction. Can I simplify it? And in this case, yes, I can simplify. If I divide the top and bottom by 25, I get, 5 over 4. Sorry, I had a little bit of a brain fart. 5 over 4. Okay, so that is going from a percent to a fraction. All right, how do we write this as a decimal? Okay, how do we write this as a decimal? Actually, as a decimal, it is even easier, guys. It is even easier, okay? And the way we do this is the following way. Remember that percent means over 100, right? So we are saying 45 over 100. So this is just like if we're writing it as a fraction, but you need to understand, what is this? What does this mean? Well, this actually means 45 divided by 100, right? That's what a fraction means. So what is going on here? Well, when you divide by powers of 10, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, a million, whatever it is, anything with a 1 and a bunch of zeros, all you are doing is moving the existing decimal point over to the left. So when you divide by a power of 10, you move the decimal point to the left. How do you know how many spaces do you move to the left? You move it by the number of zeros. Number Okay, so by the number of zeros, and you can double check this. If you do 45 divided by 100 on your calculator, you'll get 0.45. And you can see that basically what is happening is you take 45%. This is where the decimal point is. You are moving it 2 spaces to the left right here, right? because you're dividing by 100 and 100 has 2 zeros in it. So this is going to equal 0.45. And it is extremely simple to move from a decimal, or sorry, a percent to a decimal, and actually from a decimal to a percent. Okay? All you're doing is moving the decimal point 2 points to the left from percent to decimal. Okay? So we have 4% here, right? The decimal point is right here. We're going to move this 2 spaces to the left, right there. Notice that there's an empty space here, so we're going to put a 0 there. So we get is equal to 0. So 4% is equal to 0.04. Okay? And 115%, that is 115. Decimal point is right here. It's at the end of that whole number. Any whole number has a decimal point at the end of it. We're going to move this 2 spaces to the left right there. So we get 115% is equal to 1.15. 1.15. Okay? So that's pretty much it for that. So now you know how to write a percent as a fraction and a decimal as a fraction. Okay? To write a decimal as a percent, you multiply the decimal by 100. When you multiply the decimal by 100, what happens? Well, the opposite. So when you multiply by a decimal by 100, instead of moving the decimal point to the left, like when we divided, you move it to the right. Okay? By how many spaces? You move it by 2 spaces because, again, there's 2 zeros. You're multiplying by a power of 10. So move decimal to right. 2 spaces. Okay? And because these are all percents, it's always going to be 2 spaces. Okay? All right. So hopefully that makes sense. We're going to try some examples now. Let's look at these. Write each number as a percent. Write each number as a percent. So let's see. We have 0.3333. Okay, remember, if you are moving from a decimal to a percent, you're going to multiply the decimal by 100, or you move the decimal to the right 2 spaces. So we're going to take this, we're going to move this 1, 2, and this becomes 33.33, but we're writing it as a percent, so you need the percent sign, guys. Make sure you put the percent sign in for anything that's a percent. Okay? How about 5.45? Well, we're going to move this 2 spaces. 545%, or 545%. Okay? That's pretty simple. What about, though, for fractions? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. It seems like it would be hard, but it's actually pretty easy. You want to turn the fractions into decimals, right? And then once you have it as a decimal, then it's very easy to turn it into a percent. So let's take a look at this. This is 7 over 80 is going to be 7 divided by 80. This as a decimal will be 7 over 80. I'm using my calculator, and I get 0.0875. Then if I move this 2 decimal places, this is 8.75%. Okay? Similarly, 1 and 2/5. 2/5 is equal to 2 divided by 5, or 0.4. So this becomes 1.4. Okay? And if we move this 2 decimal spaces right there, notice this is where our decimal is. There's an empty space here. We got to fill in the empty space with a 0, and we get 140%. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. This is not too crazy of a lesson. It's pretty simple. You're just mostly moving decimal places or dividing. All right? Okay, let's do some practice. Let's make sure you are all good in all of this. Okay, so when I tell you to, go ahead and hit pause and work these out yourselves, and then hit unpause and see if you got the same answer. Okay, so go ahead and hit pause. Okay, so let's see if you got the same answers as I did. 58% is going to be 58 over 100. And if I simplify that, I get 29 over 50. Okay, remember percent means over 100, so that's 29 over 50. Can I simplify that? No, this is fully simplified. Okay, 72%, that is going to be 72 over 100, right? And if I simplify that, I believe this is divisible by, let's see, 4? Let's try 4. So if I divide the top and bottom by 4, I get 18 over 25. And that looks about right. And 18 over 25 is fully simplified. So this is it. That's the answer. And 144%, that is going to be 144 over 100. Remember, percent just means over 100. And what does this simplify to? 144 over 100, I believe, is, let's see, divisible by 4. So this top becomes 38 over, 38 over 25. 38 over 25. Okay? Sorry, not 38 over 25. My bad. This is good. Make that 36 over 25. 36 over 25. And 36 over 25 is fully simplified, so the answer is 36 over 25. Sorry about that. Sometimes I'm doing stuff in my head and it doesn't come out right. Okay, so that is that. Please make sure you understand how to convert from percent to fraction. We're going to convert to decimal. Remember, we're just moving percent to decimal. We're just moving the decimal point 2 spaces to the left. Okay, so this is going to be 47, right? Decimal place 1, 2. This is going to be 0.47%. Okay, 225. 225, this is going to be 1, 2. That is going to be 2.25%. And lastly, this is good. This one's a little bit tricky, right? This is going to be 0.4. We're moving it 2 spaces to the left, 1, 2, and yep, we have to add another 0. So this is going to be 0.004%. Okay? Lastly, we're going to look at these last ones. Write each number as a percent. This one's pretty easy. Remember, if you're going from a decimal to a percent, you're going to move this to the right, the decimal point to the right, 2 spaces. Okay, so 1, 2, and you can see that we're going to have to add another 0 there because we have an empty space. So this is going to be 70%, right? 46 over 200, I'm going to divide this, and 46 divided by 200 is equal to 0.23. And so if I move this 2 decimal places to the right, I get 23%. And lastly, 1.75, I'm going to move this 2 spaces to the right. So that's going to be 175%. Okay, so that is pretty much it. Hopefully this made a lot of sense and it wasn't too bad. I think it's pretty easy. Please let me know if you have any questions, work on your homework, and don't be afraid to reach out, okay? Thank you guys for listening, and I will catch you guys later. Bye-bye.